Monday, October 11th, advanced kids, and we're going to do a thingy. Let's see, you're going to need iPad because we're going to be using it for a couple things here in a moment. One, before iPad, random children. Why are you yelling at me already? Gernor.
It says October 10th, and it says 9 weeks.
No, it is.
And it says 90 what?
9 weeks.
It is, because it's 9 weeks. The 10th is definitely, the October 10th was on purpose. Good job. You caught the third mistake that was up there. Bowen.
He means weak, as in like, you're weak, like not strong.
I must have been inspired by the children around me. Weird. So, your handouts. If you keep them, you get to keep using them. Because the way my class is set up is I'm going to keep making references to those moving forward. Like in the Outsiders, you're going to have parts where you're going to have to know the exposition, irony, foreshadowing, themes, internal conflicts. As long as you have all of that memorized, you're good to go. You're going to have things where you have to compare the Outsiders to, say, the story, The Lottery. If you still have your copy of The Lottery, then you can use it. If you throw it away, it makes it more challenging. So my class is not one where we get done and then you just throw everything away and we forget about it. My class builds the whole year. Once I've taught a thing, I'm going to assume I can refer back to it and you know what that thing is. So if you have your handouts, you get to use them. If you've eaten your handouts, you're out of luck. If you're a Gnor, what's up?
It says get right.
Yes, good job again. It's like no one pays attention to you, silly knobs. What's up with these kids nowadays? So that covers the handout things. I had kids trying to throw those things away. Skyward, we're going to talk about here in a moment. And then see, the new 9 weeks does begin today, which means all of your grades have reset back to zeros for your classes. We're going to do an in-class assignment today, which in theory should be easy. So my goal is to give you guys like an A+ to start the 9 weeks. I'm going to try and give you like a soft little thing to throw into the air and you can go, it's mine! And you can catch it and wrap your little arms around it and snuggle your face into it and go, I love you, A+, and we'll see what happens. Others of you are going to drop it, stomp on it a bunch of times and go, I don't like you, and have issues. That's what we call an analogy. This thingy, let me come around and hand these things out. You get your new Heroes Hall Pass. I know. That sensation you just had was a dream coming true. Pass these back to people behind you. If the person in front of you does not pass them back, I highly recommend turning them into a reverse unicorn with a pencil. That's a problem. That is a good question. That's probably my fault for not putting my giant words in front of you. Make fun of you. I got fun of making fun of Carmen.
It's a squirrel.
Your Squirtle recognition skills are strong. You guys are really excited about squirrels. So, home children, we now have a new pass. With your new pass, I highly recommend writing your name on it. I double highly recommend writing your name on it in pen. Now that you've existed here, you've realized that there are these things called horrible children. And when they find your hall pass and your name is written in pencil, what they see is their brand new other hall pass. And of course, if your name was written on pencil and then they have erased your name and written their name, it's hard to yell at them when you've learned a painful lesson. If they try to use a hall pass with the name ripped off, even though you think teachers are idiots, and many of them are, we are at least smart enough to figure out that might be a bit of an issue. So that would be my recommendation, but as we've also learned this year, kids don't pay attention when I give directions, so it's overrated from there. The new blue one is good all the way through the end of the year. Your old yellow one is good all the way through the end of the year. If you have old yellow one and you want to keep using it, you can keep using it. If you have old yellow one and you would prefer to get B points for it, you can. And that's why there's, again, directions behind me. Each blank line on the yellow pass gets you 3 B points. If the whole pass is blank, that gets you a bonus point up to 10 B points. In order to turn it in, you just have to put it on the X on my desk over there at the end of class, and then I will give you points for it. Make sure your first and last name is on it. If your last name is not on it, I charge you 3 B points for being that annoying child. And so if you turn one in with one blank line, you're going to gain 3 points and then lose 3 points. And then we get to laugh at you. And I think that covers all the bits as far as the hall. And then put the hall pass somewhere safe, because if you lose it, you don't get a new one, which is why I keep track of which kids don't get it the first day. But everyone in this class is here, so we should be good. No other issues as far as hall passy thing goes, aside from ripping it into little tiny pieces of paper. Carter.
Never mind.
That's a good conversation. All right, so then we're good to go hall passy wise. Yeah. Then let's go to Nika. So the hall pass, once you've used all 3 of them, can you? Well, you could, but that would be like the same thing as like if I go into the bank and the person turns their back and I take all the pile of money. And the answer is yes, you could do that. Morally, that would make you a horrible person who has to live with their own decisions. Nika, you get to make your own decisions in life. Nikas. Now, open up iPad. If you are unaware, I want to show you 2 things, and some of you guys may already be aware, but one, if you don't know how to check the Grady things, go check Grady things on there. This is an example child, and so I'm showing you example childy thing. There are 2 things to do, well 3 things to do. If you don't know how to check B points on Skyward, I'm going to show you how to check B points on Skyward, because I've gotten tired of telling kids, go check your B points, and they go, I don't know how to do it. So I'm showing you how to do it. Step 1, on Skyward, you find the thing that says gradebooky thing. Once you have found gradebooky thing, step 2, find the one that says English. Do not click on English, even though it looks like it's a clickable link, it's lying to you. You want to find the one that has your grade in my class, the A, the B, the C, the D, the F, the Q, whatever it might be. Click on the Grady thing, and then I can show you the next part. You can also look at all the other grades on there if you just want to be like, oh, look at my grades, they're all shiny. They should be officially locked in. Whatever grade you have on there should be good to go now, unless you were gone on Friday and missed a thing. But for most of you, definitely for my class, you should be locked in. I have graded everything that was turned in that I was aware of. Once you have clicked on letter Grady thing, it should bring up this screen of all of your grades in my class. That's the screen you want to find. Once you've done that, then you find the one that says behavior points, which is not under formative, not under summative, it's under like the homework and miscellaneous, because it's not officially for a grade. It's a random thing. It's a miscellaneous. And it'll have some number out of 15. You all currently have an A+ in B points, because it's out of 15 points, and you all have more than 15 points, because it's a new 9 weeks. You just added 15 points to whatever you had. So some of you guys rocketed up to 15 points. Bowen. Is it from you kicking apart your desk a moment ago?
No.
You have other issues?
Yeah.
That's all this time. No other issues as far as this thingy goes? No. We're good to go. There we go. Then, let's jump to, we have a couple things to do. We're going to try and do this magical thing I saw on the internet called multitasking. I know. I think it's like, it makes as much sense as like, you know, the flat earth, but apparently it's a thing people are doing. Alright. Oh yeah, final stories test before we get to the multitasking. Final stories test, go you guys. I was going to do what's called curving the test. If you don't know what curving the test is, what I did in my regular class, it's like you take whoever had the highest score in the class, you make that what it was out of. But in both this class and 4th period, I had multiple kids get a perfect score. So I did curve the test, it's just that we had kids get perfect scores on it. So go you guys. In my regular classes, I only had 1 kid out of 100 something get a perfect score. So apparently they all still struggle with that following directions thing. But you guys, masters of direction following so far. All right, so we're good to go. Did you guys have any questions as far as the test went? I'm not going over it since you can't go back and like fix things. Carter.
I have a B point question.
Yeah, what's up?
So what's mint game?
When you get to 100 points, you have a chance of winning at the end of class. You come see me, and you have like, although right now they're not mints, they're the little lifesavery things, and you have like a game, like a chance, and you have a chance to win one every day.
Okay.
Sam.
We won't have to do anything for a grade this quarter, right? That was just last quarter, right?
So we're going to spend the whole quarter doing no grades?
Yeah.
Exactly, like the one I said we're going to do today.
Huh?
Right. That was a fun game, Taylor. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
May I borrow Colin for a little bit?
You can, Colin. Consider yourself borrowed.
Uh-oh.
This thing. So we wrap this up Friday is our last day that we'll be doing it. Again, over yonder, home children, you should be able to see it. Not as homey children since 500 of you on the other side. I've now put the fact that all the ones are listed up there. This class, Silanov, is 7.6 is the fastest one in here. So that is not like the fastest kids overall. That's per class. First period, third period, fourth period, fifth period, sixth period, seventh period.
Slowies.
So they're all listed over there. My goal is I'm going to give you guys a chance again tomorrow and then Wednesday. Friday will be our last day to do this for those of you who are wanting to beat it. And as long as you beat the 11 seconds, then you get your 5 B points. If you're the fastest kid in class, you get the additional 5. As of now, in this class, Silanov, you're going to be the one that's going to get the additional 5 points.
That should be
Nico, were you going to ask if you could stab Silanov in the hallway? I was just trying to figure out what thing you were going to try and break the law this time. What's up, Nico? This is the first year I've ever done it, so 6.2. So it was an idea I came up with at the end of it last year, and I was like, I'm going to try that next year. And then this year is last year's next year. If that hurts your brain, go you. All right, no other questions as far as that goes? Then, ka-cha. Here's where our multitasking comes in. Step 1 of Multitask Town. Go to Canvas. We're going to give you a chance to start the homework assignment that apparently Sam is confused about. It is all of 5 questions that you're going to write 5 or technically more, it depends for those of you who get worked up on it, response to, then you just submit it today before you leave, unless you're a special child who gets confused. While you're doing that, we're going to be doing a second thing at the same time. Once you've gone to Canvas, you're going to go to today's date and find the one that says Outsiders Intro and go clicky clicky. And you go clicky clicky. Once you go clicky clicky, it brings you up with this screen. And this is where you're going to do the righty stuff. And you're going to find the one that hits like submission-y thing. It's going to bring up a text box, and you just have to do the text boxy thing. You're also going to notice there's a lot of things on there called words. If you don't want to be the kid that does not start off with an A+, you might want to look at the words, because Zoom type. Because there's going to be things in there you have to do, like with numbers and stuff like that. You are going to be telling me for each one of those statements whether you agree or disagree with the statement and why, so we can have an argument discussion here in just a moment. Because this all connects to our book about stabbing children. And so we're going to start a book about children stabbing. And so part of it is those things all pop up in the book, so I'm curious to see your thoughts before we get to it. You should be able to see bigger version on your iPad, but for my version, here's the bigger version for me to see. So what it says is, number 1, friends are always more important than family. As in your opinion, in your world, your friends are more important than your family because friends are like family that you choose. 2, any kid that gets attention with the principal is a bad kid. Now, on that one, I don't mean they were framed. I don't mean it was an accident. I mean a kid did a thing deliberately and they admit and go, I did that thing. And then they get sent to the principal. Does that qualify them as a bad kid? Part of our book is figuring out what you think a bad kid is. So that was just my qualifier. Do you think that makes someone a bad kid? 3, I would intervene if I saw my bully getting beat up. My bully, not like your pet one you have on a leash, but the fact that everybody has like that, or most people have that one kid that you think is a horrendous jerk, and you're like, if that kid was getting beat up, I just watch it happen. Well, we've had 3 fights here in a week at our school, so if you came around the corner and you saw that kid on the ground and another kid wailing on him, do you stop it or do you go, yeah, and step? So this is that whole Nika moral choice of what do you do with your chance to break the law. Nika, you just gave me information. I just get to keep harassing you. This is the greatest. 4, loudly announcing to the whole class that someone has ugly clothes is an example of bullying. And let's say it's happened more than once. Every week or so, a kid comes in, looks at you and is like, oh my God, what are you wearing? Was that on the street this morning? I'm pretty sure I threw that in the trash. And you're wearing that. Does that qualify as bullying, or is that just their opinion and they think you have ugly clothes? And because part of the book is kids get stabbed because one person says the other person's bullying, and the other person's like, that was my opinion. He's like, well, now you have a hole in you, and that's my opinion. And so that becomes where the issues go into it. 5, I would report my BFF, your best friend forever. Not a random kid, not just a friend, but that friend of a, you're like, I would die for this person, and then you find out they did a horrible thing. Not like a kind of horrible thing, like they're getting another kid kicked out of school because they did a thing and said this other kid did it who's completely innocent, and you know your friend did it, and now this other kid's getting kicked out of school for it. Do you speak up, or you just go, yeah, it sucks to be that kid. What's on TV? So I need to find out, again, where your Nika level is. And to figuring out where that's, why would you give me such ammunition to use, Nika? And so I need to figure out where you are on that scale. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to reply to this, but this is where the multitasking comes in, because we're going to be having a discussion at the same time. Carter, you were so patient while I ignored you. What's up?
I gave up.
Fun stuff. Silly?
There is no text box on the assignment.
Does it not have a spot to respond?
No, there's no text box. It just says like file upload to
Yeah.
Google Doc.
We can make comments.
Let me pause and figure out what's going on. Stupid computers. We fixed whatever the issue was. Children at home. It was Mr. Maroof's fault, and that's what's important. All right, then to you guys, this is the part where you're doing the typey things. We're going to be doing more things at once, and my goal is for you to turn this in before you leave. At the same time, my goal is also to distract you, to give you more time to get it done. We're going to come back to talky thing. So here's my multitasking. All right. So I try to change my stories throughout over the years, and I get rid of stories that kids universally seem to not like, and I try to make sure I keep stories that kids seem to universally enjoy. So I went back and found a list of all the stories that we did so far with you guys. I did for our short stories. You see Lady and the Tiger, The Fisherman, The Black Cat, After 20 Years, Priscilla and the Wimps, The Lottery, The Landlady, The Necklace, that's a lot of those, Charles, and then the Boy Meets World one that we did. So my question is, are there any stories on here that either A, you think I should absolutely keep because you're ones that you think kids should experience in the future, or ones that you think I should absolutely get rid of because you do not think they worked very well and you did not enjoy them? And given, I'm assuming most of them, from what I've experienced in the past, are half and half. Like, I'll mention a story and half the kids are like, trash! And half the kids are like, loved it, favorite story! And so I'm looking for ones that everyone loved or everyone hates, and that sort of gives me more of a direction. Lena?
I didn't really understand the Priscilla and the Wimps, so I thought it was
So on the Priscilla and the Wimps one? Alright, which I can accept. On that one is this, and part of it is trying to find a short enough story that I try not to give you guys super long ones. So I was trying to find a short one that also dealt with some kind of irony and dealt with, I thought it was more of the fun, but that might be one that's a bit more of a struggle because it deals with, that was one that first period struggled with also. Apparently it's like, their thought was that it was boring because it just dealt with people at school. Although it dealt with a girl beating a kid up and possibly killing him, but maybe you guys are just desensitized. You guys have all been squid gamed. Otto?
I like the Charles story a lot
Okay. Is there anything to back that up?
because it's at the end you figure out what's going on and you want to keep reading and
All right. Because of the surprise ending bits, I can get that one.
And also there's bad children in it.
Yes, there are bad children. It's just like real life. Nika?
I think we should keep that.
Why?
First of all, pets, and second of all,
Hang on. First one, what?
I like cats.
Okay. Wait. Even though it deals with cat death, and you still... Okay. Go ahead.
And he said that, like, in the end, he can't think anything that's going to happen to him, and he deserves it.
I would definitely agree with the him deserving it part. Dylan?
I think that after 20 years was way too confusing.
How so?
Just because there was like not enough dialogue and there was a lot of like different characters introduced and you didn't really know about them.
I wonder if I switched, because I have that as the first one you guys read on your own. If I switched and moved like Priscilla up and then moved that one towards the back. If that might, once you guys are stronger readers, if that one might work better. That's the thing I could definitely consider doing then. Kira?
I like the black cat story because the cat is like I like the cat being magical and
The cat being magical?
yeah,
Okay.
it should be fun. So
Alright. I was a little worried because it dealt with, kitty death. And I remember when we got to that scene, how many of you guys all jaw dropped on me, even with your masks on. But now, like, at the end of it, you're like, yeah, I hated you for a moment, but at the end, it was okay. So, alright, I can roll with that. Silly?
Keep it like that.
Well, see, the thing is, it's like that irony thing, because Allison is very stoic and very strong, but she smiles at me nonstop. So it's like that mix of Silinov, and then, or Filinov, with a V in there. It's like silly. Anyway, it just came to me. Continue, silly.
I didn't really like the Boy Meets World.
Why?
Because it was mostly because it was a video and it didn't work very well.
Didn't work because of the playing of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't count that against it. That was our stupid Wi-Fi, which I've now figured out, and they fixed my Wi-Fi on that one, so that was part of that issue there. And part of it is I want to find, one, an episode of a show, because I want to show how it connects. And then two, the reason I use that one because the theme seems to be so obvious, which helps. But yeah, the not liking it because it's a video, that kind of knocks it out, because I was trying to use a video. And then the other part about it having struggles, well, I mean, we can't get rid of everything that struggles. We'll be down to like 4 kids in here. Bowen!
I think the Boy Meets World one is great because one, it's a video and I hate reading, and two, there's a laugh track, which means it's funny.
And this is the joy of the fact that we get to the stories that one kid hates and another kid loves. The joy of... By the way, don't get distracted. So we're going to be coming back to your guys' homework here in a moment. So just making sure you're doing that multitasking thing. Dylan?
I think you should keep, and I really like the lottery because it has a good, I forgot the word.
Theme? Learning
Lesson.
thing. Lesson. Like a theme. No. Sam?
I think you should keep the lottery
Why?
because it had good foreshadowing and a good theme.
It's kind of like that too. I mean, the theme being that, we kill people. That is a theme of my class, apparently. Carter?
I have 2 things to
Uh-huh.
say. I think we should keep the lottery because it teaches a good lesson and it's an eye-opener.
Yes.
And I can't use, my shift isn't working.
So
So I can't get capital letters or a little 2-bar.
Then don't use your.
Well, one, I think you can use the on-screen one if you needed to.
That's boring.
And then
And
two,
it wouldn't work for any of the other classes.
that is also, well, that's not a me issue, that's another class issue. And then 5, also, you just type it and let me know. My shift things don't working. Don't judge me
Every
for it.
time I need to shift, I have to type.
I would say
shift
just
button
at
in Word.
I would say just at the very beginning you do it one time and assume your teacher's smart enough to realize you're doing that the whole time. Lena?
I think you should keep the Boy Meets World thing
Okay.
because I've seen that show like twice and I like it, and also I like shows like that.
By the way, the Eric, the main guy in that episode, he's going to be in Indianapolis this weekend because he's coming for the Indianapolis Comic-Con this weekend. He's one of their guest stars. I saw that they sent it out, and I'm like, I just saw that guy, so it's kind of cool. Now, given he doesn't look like that anymore because now he's like 25 years older, but same dude. Oh, we're getting ready to move on, by the way. Bowen!
I think we keep the lotteries because rocks.
And like the things in our heads.
Because it rocks.
Right. You're like, chunk it, chunk it, chunk it, chunk it, chunk it, chunk it. It's just like the story. Carter, did you figure out shift key?
Now my space bar doesn't work.
That sounds like, have you tried? For one, when you get done with it, you're going to want to
You just have to hit it real hard.
reboot your iPad thing. All right. Well, so apparently it seems we found the stories that you guys definitely want to keep because it deals with torture and death. So I found our theme on that one. And then Priscilla was the one that made you guys think. And then switching landlady, after 20 years until later. All right. Back to here. If you're still working, that's fine. I was just trying to buy you guys time for it.
My shift bar works.
I'm so
I did it
excited.
far enough.
Let's get ready to do discussion-y things. So for each one of these, I just want to see if you agree or disagree. So take a look at them. Have you at least figured out if you agree or disagree with each one? I'm going to do it by a showing of hands where you feel on this one. All right. Number 1, friends are always more important than family. Raise your hand if you agree.
What?
No judges. They get to have their opinion. Disagree. All right. And no, you judgertons.
The right of
2,
are allowed.
any kid that gets detention with the principal is a bad kid. Agree? Disagree. Okay. Then those of you who disagree, you need to put in your answer what qualifies someone as a bad kid. Because if you're saying that does not make someone a bad kid, unless you're going to argue in a moment that there are no bad kids at our school, I need to know what you think makes someone a bad kid.
There's definitely bad kids.
3, I would intervene if I saw my bully getting beat up. Agree? Disagree. Shocker, Anika. 4, loudly announcing to the whole class that someone has ugly clothes is an example of bullying. Agreed? Disagreed. Repeatedly talking about a random kid in class who likes to break the law is an example of bullying. Agreed? Just checking. Number 5, I would report my BFF for doing something majorly bad, no matter the consequences. Agree?
Wait.
I don't know.
Wait a second.
I'm waiting
I
on.
have one thing. It matters on what they do.
Should not, but it's fine. Agree?
Yes, it should.
It
Disagree.
does.
Alright, hang on, let's try this again. How many of you guys are confused on what a friend is? Because maybe that's where we got stuck. A friend is a person you like and choose to hang out with. Alright, so, alright. I'm interested to see our conversation events then, because this is going to make for quite the interesting book as we get into it. Because pretty much all of these things pop up in our book like geared towards the beginning. Number 1, friends are always more important than family. So my guess on this one is those of you who come from what you feel is like a really happy, strong family, then there's every chance that you're going to enjoy family more than friends. If you don't necessarily come from that, you might enjoy friends more than family. In our book, there are people who don't have good family around them. So for them, they're like, choosing my friends is super duper important. But it is interesting at the junior high level that more of you guys went the family over friends route.
Really?
Yeah. Nika.
Well, when I thought like family, I didn't like necessarily. I know a lot of people don't consider like blood relations family. I know like there's like a lot of people out there who
That's
like
They don't consider family family?
That's
no people
ridiculous.
go like a blood related
Right.
as family.
That's
I'm
the
thinking it's
definition.
like as French was family. So
Alright. I can roll with that. Taylin?
I think it's like, I think if like your family like treats you like terribly and is never there for you, then probably you should choose your friends, because your friends can be your family, and your family is people who you like think like you trust them and like you love them, and I don't think it's necessarily like someone you have to live with. Like it's not like you don't have to like, if your mom is like completely terrible, you don't have to be like, oh my god, I would choose her any day over my best friend who treats me well and is my family. Like, that's what I think.
Alright. Brack?
With all of these, I feel like it matters on the situation because it matters on like how you view it and how you're treated.
Well, but it's all about how you view it. Like, all these questions are asking you how you view it. So, in your opinion, Dylan, do you feel the family and the friends thing?
Well, since I feel like my family's always there for me, I feel like I always have to be there for them.
Alright, that's fine. I
And
can dig
then I
that.
have a question.
Yeah,
For number 5, can I put I don't know and then give my reason?
sure. I'll accept that as long as you explain it well. Carter?
If there's an orphan there, I don't have a choice.
Sure. Are you an orphan?
No.
Then again, like with
Have you ever
Dylan,
had
we're
one
asking
in your
about
class?
you. And I've had kids who live in like foster homes.
Okay.
But the orphans would go, like, live in that type of housing. We don't really have those anymore. I mean, I have kids whose parents have died, and I've had them in class, and they live with, like, other family members.
Yikes.
But yeah, we don't really have, I don't think, that type of orphanages don't really exist today. Yeah.
with the friends more important than family thing, well, if your like parent or guardian kicks you out of the house, you could go stay with your friends, and they're kind of like a bullying going on. So
It's true. And I have had that happen. I've had 7th graders whose parents have kicked them out of the house before.
What?
And they've had places that you can be shocked. There's some bad parents out there. And so I've had 7th graders who have gotten kicked out and had to go spend time with friends and stuff like that. So in that case, absolutely, they probably love their friends more than family. Kira?
So I guess it's my family like usually nice to me, and I should like feel very more important. And usually it's like friends, not best friends. So.
What if I had said best friends that made a difference for you?
Oh, that would be almost.
Alright. Bowen?
I have a good relationship with my parents, but I just find my friends a bit easier to hang out with.
True, I could dig that too. It's interesting.
Ancient?
Lena?
Well, it's kind of the same with Bowen because like I have a good relationship with my parents, but sometimes I just don't get things. I feel like there's something that I can like tell my friends about. So.
Which would make sense. I think there's definitely things that you can talk about with friends that would be awkward to talk about with parents. And so I guess that would make sense. Huh. That'll be interesting. Taylin?
I mean, yeah, I get that's like awkward, but it's also like for people who have siblings, like I have like an older brother, and then I also have like a younger sister, so it's like I could still talk to them and they're like my friends.
So do you get along with the siblings?
Mm-hmm.
And that, I guess that's something I could throw in there also that everyone had. Because, that's your question. For those of you who have siblings, so this would be aimed at you, those of you only kids, you get to sit one out. How many of you would say you have a strong relationship with your sibling and consider them a good friend? For those of you with siblings, how many of you guys have a contentious relationship, meaning that you would be very not upset if they got hurt or something like that because they drive you nuts? Let's back up. How many of you guys, your sibling drives you nuts and you would not consider them a good friend? All right, so about split. Now, I guess that'd be part of it too, is the whole, if you have a good, like both of my kids, they get along great. And like they're each other's best friends way more than like, they get along with me, but they're each other's way more than like other friends. So, but I know that's not necessarily the norm. Silly?
Can your siblings drive you nuts and still be your one of?
Absolutely. I'm sure that can work that way too. And I'm sure there's some siblings out there. I mean, they're human, so at some point they're going to drive you nuts. I mean, I'm adorable, and I'm pretty sure I still drive. Ouch. The fact I probably still drive some people nuts at times, I'm okay with that. Dylan?
I have 2 half brothers, and it's like I don't get to see them that much, but.
But do you get along with them?
Yeah.
Alright, I can do that. Mika?
And like what Dylan said, like I don't live with my brother because I don't live with my dad, so like people like kids who don't really see their siblings, like I feel like me and something have that strong bond with my brother and we don't really get along.
Alright. I guess that would make a difference too if you never, like the split family kind of thing would probably play a big role in it. Excuse me, Michaela?
Yeah, I agree with them too. I have 2 siblings that live with me and 3 that don't. So I hate one of the ones that lives with me. One of them's 4 and she's just a cutie. But the other 3 brothers, like I like them. Like I'll hang out with them. I do have a favorite out of them 3. But
Everyone has favorites even if they say they don't.
But like my brother that I hate, he tried to hug me the other day and I screamed at him to get off. So
How dare he show affection towards you? It's so awful. Jumping to number 2 is so on this one. So as much fun as we have our families. A quick pre-vote. So on number 2, since almost everyone in here said that you disagree with that, you need to get any attention. Do you, in your opinion, by a show of hands, say we have bad kids here at FJH? In your opinion?
Oh yes.
All right. Would anyone raise your hand and say, no, I don't think we have any bad kids here at FJH? Which is
Not any, but in overall,
We'll beat them up, she'll do
it's
about
a lot better. Like my old school had a lot more rough around the edges kids than here.
And as much as you guys laugh at Carter, I'm much more in his boat. In all my years of teaching, this is one of the best groups of kids we currently have in the building that we've had in a long time. Oddly enough, we've had more fights this year than in previous years. But if you actually, which I've done, talked to the kids involved in the fights, there were reasons behind those fights. It wasn't just like a random walking down the hallway bumping into someone. The people involved in the fights felt they had reasons, and none of it was because they were horrible turd kids. They had reasoning behind their thinking on that one. So my question to you guys then, what makes a kid a bad, if you're saying we have bad kids, but getting sent to the principal doesn't make you a bad kid, where's your qualifier on a bad kid? Mia?
Someone who like mocks other kids or like their religions and their beliefs.
Interesting. So not so much the getting sent to the principal, but just you're saying the bad kid is just the hateful child, I guess? Interesting. All right. Ryan?
I think what makes a bad kid is like having absolutely no kindness for anyone or like respect for anyone and judging someone off of who they are and just
How else do you
So here's my one issue with both what you guys brought up. I would connect that to our story, the lottery. Because where do you think they're learning these things?
parents and other people.
And that's where, for me, I talk to those kids who get sent down to ISR, and having conversations with them, a lot of times their issue is they don't see it as wrong because they've been raised to not see that as wrong. Then how do you get angry and hate a child who's like, I'm doing what my parents told me to do. Your parents have told you to do your homework, and all of a sudden some other kid was like, why are you doing your homework? You're an idiot for doing homework, but that's what you got raised to do. They were raised out of the kids not like them, you hate that kid. And so that's where the school steps in. Is it our job to teach them differently than their parents? But that makes parents mad. And so it becomes that balance of what we have at school where me talking to the kid and finding out why they did a thing, almost every time it connects back to how their parents have raised them. Ryan?
And like with most things too, it's kind of like a spectrum. Like,
Mhm.
what is your level on what makes a bad person? Because like one thing would be.
It's not black and white, it's gray.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree, the same level. Taylin?
I think it's like, I don't care like how you were raised, and like I don't think it's like if you're like kind of like what Mia said, it's like if you're like I don't want to like say the word. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. If you're like racist or homophobic or anything, that's wrong. Like that's not right. Like you can't judge kids because of what they are. I think that's what makes a bad kid. I don't think, because like you said, the kids that get in fights, that doesn't make them bad people. Like they have reasons, but I just think that kids who most of the time are like really like judgmental and like shut people out because of who they are, what they look like, are just bad people.
And from my end of it, I hope I've given across the impression of I don't do racism and homophobia well, which are the things I would say is around my room, but it's just a big white box. But the problem is, we have kids now who have not been around humans some kids were virtual for 18 months. And if all you have are your parents who teach you racist and homophobic things, it's the society that's supposed to show you differently. And a lot of those kids are just now seeing that things are different because people come from racist, homophobic households. And if that's all they've seen, and for 18 months they didn't get to interact with kids at school, then on some level, does that make them bad, or does that make them how they were raised? We're going to continue this tomorrow. So tomorrow before we read, we have more talking bits. Submit your answers. Don't be the kid that forgets, and then I have to be mean to you. If not, then you have to do standy thing. Other than that, see you tomorrow. We'll do more talking and giving you guys a chance to do this yelly thing, because apparently you guys finally learned how to find your voices.